What up, guys? Today we're going to be reviewing episode 5 and 6 of Daredevil Born Again. Now, these two episodes dropped at the same time, so that kind of confused me when I first saw it. I went onto the Disney Plus website and I saw episode 6 and 5, and I was like, what is this? It was confusing because, the first two episodes came out at the same time, which makes sense. Sometimes, shows now have been doing that with streaming. They either drop out all the episodes at once or they drop out one in each weekly, like how it normally used to be when it came to shows. Or sometimes they drop a couple of few episodes in the beginning, and then after that they just go into it being weekly. Sometimes it's two episodes, or sometimes it's three. This time they did two, so I was like, okay. After that, everything else is gonna drop out once a week. But this one dropped out two in 1 week, which was just a little confusing to me. I mean, I liked it. I think it was great. But it was just a little confusing, and I also see why they did it, because episode 5 was kind of a filler, and I felt like they kind of felt like it would be BS to make us wait a week and just give us one filler episode, and then we have to wait another week just for the other episode. And I also think they just wanted to get into the more important part of the story, but they also want to diverge a little bit into the a filler type of episode. But it's also kind of weird because the filler episode kind of doesn't feel like one, but it also does. But I don't know. It's just a little confusing for me, if I'm being honest, the direction they're going with. Because the first two episodes dropping out at once honestly does make sense, obviously, but dropping out two at the same time later on after they've been dropping out once a week is kind of weird. Especially to the fact that there's only 9 episodes to the show, and we're on episode 6 right now, meaning that there's only technically 3 episodes left before the show is pretty much done. So yeah, but these two episodes, they they were actually, I like both 5 and 6. Obviously, I like 6 way more than 5 because 6 had way more stuff happening in it. But 5 was actually pretty decent too. Some people might complain and say it was bad. Other people might say it was really great. I heard some people saying it was greatest filler ever, which I don't really agree with that. But this one, basically what's happening is episode 5. Matt is trying to get a loan from the bank for his, obviously lawyer agency and stuff like that. And he's talking to this guy named Yusuf Khan. And at first, I don't know who he was specifically, but he is actually somewhat of an important character. So he was talking to Matt, and they were going back and forth about the loan. And he basically mentions his daughter, Kamala, which made me laugh because it's like, oh, so they named this guy's daughter after like Kamala Harris. I was like, I thought that was the whole point of it, but I was wrong, because when I started watching it a little bit more, I realized like, oh no, you idiot. They're not making it as like a joke about like, oh look, it's Kamala Harris or something, or like a reference. It's because he's the father of Miss Marvel, whose name is Kamala Khan, I'm pretty sure, or Kamala. Yeah, I'm pretty sure her name is that, whatever. So yeah, her name was Kamala. So that's her dad. And the only reason I didn't know is because I never really watched Miss Marvel. I know a lot of people didn't, so I didn't watch it myself. I did see some clips. I've seen some people react to it or whatever. So I do some stuff. Yeah. So at first I didn't know who he was. I just thought he was just a random bank, teller or whatever, or bank manager. But apparently he was Kamala's father. So that is playing into that connection. And uh, when Matt was talking to him, he kind of noticed who she was, and he's kind of alluding to it. Because he mentioned her a couple of times, and he was throughout the episode, and he mentioned about something about her being special or great, whatever. The dad, obviously, he was talking good about his daughter, but Matt seemed to have a particular interest in her, seeing that he probably knows that she's an inhuman. Somehow he found out, and he kind of wants to coach and mentor her, yeah, just like how Captain Marvel has been doing. So as they're doing this, basically I'm pretty sure his name was like Yusuf Khan. He tells him, "Hey, look, I'm sorry, we can't give you the loan for his credit or whatever." So he's like, oh, "Okay, it's fine." So he leaves, and then this is around St. Patrick's Day. So as this is happening, some bank robbers are coming in there, and they're all Irish, and they're doing this on St. Patrick's Day. And we've seen the Irish Mafia in the original Daredevil series, and the leaders got wiped out by the Punisher. And then we saw it in, I think it was the last week's episode, or 2 week, or it was like, I think maybe episode 3, where we saw that one Irish guy that was robbing the trucks, that went against, Wilson Fisk and stuff. So we had all that. So maybe he's one of those people, but we do know for a fact, at least, that, you know, the Irish mafia is back again in here, and they keep on talking about their boss and doing this for a boss, and they're trying to get something from the bank, specifically. So as this is happening, Matt hears it. He goes back, pretends to just be, a regular blind person to get into there. As he's in there, he's, doing stuff to try to find out what's happening. Um, he gets himself to stay because they're gonna let two people go, him and another woman, but she wanted her husband to go with her, and he switched places. And they find out like Matt is like, he's Irish also, and then he's what's the thing called? He was an orphan and all this stuff. So they're getting a little bit to understand him and stuff. And as he's doing all this, he's basically trying to find a way to stop them. He tries to go to the bathroom, and then he gets into a fight with one of the guys to escape. He beats the guy up. He beats him up pretty good, and he beats him up pretty viciously. He's like choking him the entire time, slamming him. He caught like a shotgun as it was about to fall, so he's just holding him and choking him while grabbing it. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought that was a really good fight sequence. You guys already know my somewhat feelings about the fighting. When I first saw the first episode with him versus Bullseye, I was really disappointed with the CGI. I do not like that. I think just using practical, hand-to-hand martial arts is way better. You can use a stunt elbow. Hell, you can even use somewhere like wire work if you want to, or just have them fight just naturally. And even if it's like a little bit sloppy, I would rather have that over it just being CGI, because I don't mind it being a little bit sloppy. I'm okay with that as long as it's real, right? So this fight was good, and that was one of my little concerns, because yes, after that they haven't shown anything like that, but there hasn't been that much fighting to such a significant extent or level for honestly, for me to make any judgment or assessment on it as a whole. So then going back to just the fighting itself, like it looked good. So after that, he did that. The other guy, Khan, when he's going to do the open up the safe, he honestly doesn't know the code, so he's trying to stall. But Matt luckily comes at that time to save him, and he basically takes the guy out. Um, then he opens up the bank with obviously his super hearing. So they get in there, they find out it was like some weird gem thingy that they're trying to get. Um, After they get the gem, they know what to do. So he goes back, he's talking to the guy, he's like, "How did you get free? What are you guys doing?" And then he basically throws the gem in the air to attack him, and he starts fighting. And then the cops right at that time are coming in. They come in, and now it's like a big brawl between the criminals and the cops. And Matt also a little bit, he's fighting and slams the guy's head on the side. Then the main guy, he tries to escape by basically changing his clothes and dressing up as a cop to escape to take the thing. And then one of the people that was, held prisoner inside the bank was actually working with them. It was this one woman, and he gave her this bag with the gem in it so she could leave. And it was basically they got away. But Matt was hearing it obviously, so he followed the guy. He beat him up, and this is where we see the scene a little bit in the trailer where he was going back and forth fighting somebody in the alley, and he jumped and broke his leg, which it was pretty brutal and pretty cool to see. This was also pretty much practical, and it was dope as hell. I had to replay it multiple times, especially when he smashed his face into like this bottle and the glass shards went into his face. I was like, that's pretty brutal. Then he kicked him into the back, and he was holding on to like some metal pieces, and then he jumped into his flip, kneed him right in his leg, and then snapped that shit in half, which was pretty dope, in my opinion. So he beats him. The girl kind of gets away. She opens the back, finds out it was a piece of candy that was offered to Matt early on in the episode by Yusuf Khan. So he later on goes back to talk to him, try to find out if the guy's okay and how he feels. And he's like, "Look, Matt, I like you. I think you're a good dude, but I really can't give you the loan still, and I'm not gonna. I can't do it for you." He's like, "It's fine. It's cool. I just want to check up on you." So he takes a candy, and basically this was a subtle way of him basically telling him, "Hey, I got the thing back." So he put the gem in, and the guy's like, "What?" And he's like, "You know what? Maybe I can help you out and stuff." So he wants to have him over to dinner, and Matt wants this obviously to meet Kamala because he knows she's an Inhuman, and he wants to, I think, pretty much coach her. And probably she might be a sidekick or something later on in the future, because he could use some help, or maybe he just wants to help her out, whatever. But that happens, and then the whole stuff of that. Also, we had Wilson Fisk. We had the other guy that he basically taxed him with 1.8 million because of his crew fucking up. And the guy came up to him basically going, "Fuck you, I'm not doing that shit." So Wilson got mad. He's like, "I'm gonna put another million on you." He's like, "I don't give a shit." And he was threatening him. And I was like, oh my God. this is the worst decision this guy can make because he's gonna beat him to death when he gets the chance. And we know it. When Kingpin goes back to fully being who he was obviously still who he is because of what he was doing to that guy, Adam, but he hasn't fully gone into his Kingpin role back again. But he is obviously alluding to that more. So that was the end of that episode. Nothing too significant, but it was mostly set up. And then the next episode is where the crazy stuff started happening. We got back into the Muse storyline, which I really enjoyed. And I really like the idea of them going to that because I think Muse is very important to go into. So after this, we have uh pretty sure it was the niece. It was the niece of the White Tiger. She shows up to Matt telling him, oh, White Tiger was following a lead on some specific guy. And obviously the specific guy that she was following the lead on was the Muse, who is a serial killer. At this time, nobody knows he's a serial killer. They do know there's some people missing, but it was mostly the cops. But he found a trail of the Muse and he was trying to stop him. So White Tiger had actually a mission. He wasn't just stopping petty criminals or just crime here and there. He was also tracking him down before he got killed. So he was trying to find the Muse and stop him. And she finds out that he was finding somebody and she relays the message to Matt. But Matt is trying to say, no, we can't do this. And she's like, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm just like, that's not a good idea. But also, I just don't know why Matt doesn't tell her, like, we will look into it and just lie to her at least and be like, we're going to do it, but him not really doing it. Or still look into it, like, I don't know. I get he doesn't want to be completely Daredevil, but is this weird? So she leaves. He's like, whatever. And then it goes to this garbage man who's actually shown in the last episode. And he's coming to wash the paint off this wall because we keep on seeing this paint, these artistry of like graffiti and painting on these walls of Wilson Fisk, showing him as Kingpin and stuff. And somebody keeps on going after him in his image. And this is obviously the Muse. And as he's trying to wash it, there's like some problem with it. And then he shows up in Wilson Fisk's, office to talk to him. He's like, hey, Mayor Fisk, and then he starts explaining it and stuff, and they're like, okay, what's happening? Apparently, he was using human blood to create the mural, because he created this mural of, Wilson Fisk kissing ass to the rich and stuff like that, and going after vigilantes, and he had other stuff about, the White Tiger dying, calling it vigilante justice, all of his art and stuff, and he's just, like, painting it with people's blood, and they were doing analysis and stuff with it, and Wilson was kind of like shocked and pissed off. He was like, damn, what the fuck? And basically the police commissioner was like, yeah, so apparently this guy, he was using people's blood to make this mural, and then he used this certain pigment over it to make the coloring, and then it was also to make it up there permanently and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to wash off. He's like, we found out when we did the analysis that there's 60 different most likely blood spats and stuff, meaning that there were 60 victims, so he has already had 60 bodies already from the jump. And we also saw the guy that he took in episode 4, that he was taking and drained the blood out of. He was left in a dish somewhere with his eyes gouged out and drained of blood, completely killed. And this is also in the Daredevil Born Again comic book where we first get introduced to the Muse. And at this point, right, the Muse, it starts off with his painting, but it's like in a art museum, and it was apparently over 100 bodies that he had painted up on there. Whereas in this one, it was only 60 bodies, which is still a lot, but not as much as in the comics. Also in the comics, he didn't just do the blood paintings. That was his main thing, but he also had, actual people's body parts, strung up. He had like these Inhumans killed and then strung up and portrayed in like regular human manners, like one on the toilet, one watching TV, one eating, and he had them showing up saying, "Hey, look, they're human too." So he would have like messages between the art, and it was more fucked up where he had like decapitated heads in his place and like a ripped up torso. So it was like a straight up serial killer. It's like some shit you see from like Hannibal Lecter and stuff. This show still had stuff like that, but it wasn't I think it was a little bit more toned down because it was just more to blood and the painting, and then it did have dead bodies, but the most was like their eyes gouged out. But in the other one, he had like parts and limbs cut up, and in his his workroom, he had the decapitated parts. Whereas in this one, it was just people hung up on hooks, which is still pretty fucked up, and like just these blood paintings everywhere. I want to see if he's gonna go further with his his artistry, we want to call it. But as this is happening, they're like, well, we have a serial killer on the loose. He's killed a bunch of people. This guy has some problems with you. So we're going to have something where the muse is probably going to end up coming crossing paths with Wilson Fisk because he wants to make his art and do something with Wilson Fisk. In the comics, he doesn't have really like a message where he cares about anything. He's just killing because he enjoys it and he loves to make art pieces and loves to make thought provoking art pieces. So it's not really like a serious vendetta he has, but I do think he sees like a very poetic, artistic reason to kill Wilson Fisk and do something with his body to portray him, and probably sees him as a good challenge to kill him. Like, oh, he's a pretty strong guy. If I kill him and I do this, it would mean more and be more impactful for my art or whatever. So now Wilson is kind of like not hearing it. He's getting a little bit pissed and intense, and this is gonna blow him over. And he said, "Don't relay the message to anybody about the serial killer. We cannot have this out." And they're like, "Are you sure?" So he's arguing about that back and forth. But even with that, with them trying not to get a serial killer out, it ends up happening anyway. Because after this, we have the cop friend that Matt has. He pulls up to him. He's like, "Yo, Matt, I gotta tell you something. I got some really bad news." Matt's like, "What's happening?" And he's like, "We got a serial killer on the loose. This 600 bitch like basically drained 60 people of their blood and painted a mural to, about Wilson Fisk. He's like, all those paintings that you've been seeing a lot, yeah, he's been called the Muse. So he's just like a street artist. And you could see the look on Matt's face. He's just like, damn. He's like shocked and he feels like he feels like it's fucked up. He's like, damn. Like he went from like just chill to once when he heard that, uh he felt like that was a little bit like you could tell that it affected him. He's like, damn, he was like, shit, that's fucked up. So now he knows this is serious, and the guy tells him, "Don't go into it, man. I'm telling you." I'm like, why would you tell him? Then tell him not to get into it. Like that's just ridiculous. But yeah, he's telling him not to get into it. I'm like, he has to stop this guy. This guy's a fucking serial killer. So Muse is doing his thing. He's painting up another one. And then these two girls are like, "Oh, I heard about you. You're this artist, Muse." At this time, they don't know he's a serial killer. So these two girls are playing up to him. He turns around, looks at him. They're like, "Oh shit, he's a little bit scary." So he pulls against them. He obviously kills them, paints a painting with their blood now, with their eyes gouged out, and then laid dead next to the painting, which that's his common thing where he kills them. He does the painting, and then with their blood, he leaves their bodies there just as he painted the thing. Um, so he did it again, and now everybody, the public now knows that there's a serial killer. So it first got leaked out to Wilson Fisk, then it got leaked out to Matt, and then the public found out because of the killing. So they're all like, now they're like, the public is like a little terrified. They're like, it's scary to go outside because this guy's just murdering people. What the fuck? So now they're obviously trying to look for someone to stop him. Also, they showed up footage of this one vigilante who's using a sword. So apparently there's another vigilante besides, the Punisher and Matt and the White Tiger. Also, Matt's girlfriend wants him to get an interview with the Punisher, which I thought that was ridiculous. And he's like, "Okay, yeah, I'll get you set up with the Punisher, whatever." But yeah, going back, they're leading more into the Muse and going after him now because he's going a little like fucked up. And the girl is now following his trail, and it's in this subway station. She's following him there. She's trying to see what he's doing, which this is stupid. I know she's like, "Oh, my uncle told me that if other people are not going to help you out with a certain situation, so you have to do it yourself." I'm like, I get that, but what the fuck are you going to do with a serial killer or a guy who's a villain or whatever? You can't do shit. What is your plan here? You're a little kid. You're walking in there with nothing. What are you going to do? Just like fight him with your hands, or you're going to tell him, "Hey, I know what you're doing is wrong," and then he's gonna stop and he's like, "Oh shit, somebody found me." Like, I don't get the plan behind it. It seems kind of dumb in my opinion. So yeah, she's gonna confront him. Obviously, he gets the drop on her. He takes her out, and then he's taking her to his place, his lab area, so he can basically now drain her of blood or killing her, and then basically do the painting. And he stabs her. Now Matt is looking for the guy because he finds out that uh her mom calls and saying, oh, her mom, or I think it was her aunt or whatever, calls saying, "Hey, she's gone and stuff. Can you look for her?" And he's like, okay. He was gonna call the cops, but he's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go as, uh, Daredevil. So he finally gets back into his Daredevil costume, which I really like how it looks. Looks super authentic to the comic book. Besides like not having a D&D thing, but once he has that, it's gonna be completely authentic. So Now he's looking for her. He's trying to swing and get there, but she's getting drained of blood. Uh, Wilson Fisk now is doing his thing. He's going down to the basement and he's going back to his old ways completely this time. He has an axe in hand. He gives it to Adam and he tells Adam, "Hey, use this axe to fight me." I've always, when I was in a situation against bigger guys or more guys than me, I use weapons. So since I'm bigger than you, you can use a weapon. So he gave him the axe. And obviously Adam is going after him to, attack him. And this is cool because we see a parallel between his fight with Adam and Matt's fight with the Muse, because as Matt is falling there, the Muse comes out, he hears a noise, and his eyes are actually red. It was just pretty cool. So he came out there with his red eyes, so you could tell he's actually obviously not like a regular person. He has some powers. So he's looking around and he sees Matt as Matt is running in, charging him to fuck him up. I was like, that's actually crazy. Because you just see the smoke going away from the trains and stuff, and he's just charging at him to fuck him up. He throws his baton and goes to the side of the wall. He's like, what the hell? He looks and he comes in and he jumps in with like a punching thing. It was kind of it kind of reminded me of actually, I forgot who. There was somebody that did that. Markiplier. Have you guys seen the meme with Markiplier where he jumps in the air and is punching the camera and stuff? That's what he pretty much did. So he jumps in, he punches the Muse, and he's fucking the Muse up. And Muse is fighting back a little bit, but Matt is not having any of it. This motherfucker is going straight up savage mode. He's not only whooping his ass skill wise, but he's also tanking his shit. He's fucking him up. And you can even see the Muse like, oh shit, man. Like, I expected a fight and a beating, but I didn't expect this. He's fucking my shit up all the way. So they're going back and forth. He's slamming him. He's smashing his head into the wall. He's fucking kicking him in the knee. He's like smacking him around. He's hitting him with the batons, fucking this guy up. He's like dazing him. He's knocking him around. He's basically manhandling him. Yeah, he gets a couple of shots in, but it's not like he's doing anything significant to Matt. Matt does get some damage, but Music getting beat up, he gets dropped, and there's this cute, not cute, I don't know how I was gonna say that. Cool, basically camera transition where his head gets up and you see the camera shifting the angles. So he's getting up, he's trying to use weapons, and it's not working well from still. He does like 3 spinning back kicks, which look pretty cool, but as he does land it and hit Matt and he's making Matt bleed, Matt basically stood there and allowed it. It's not like he was dodging or trying to block. He just allowed it because he was trying to show him that you can't hurt me. And now Muse is kind of like scared because he's smacking him. He's on the ground. He's like, oh my God, he's trying to fight him back and finish his work. And Matt is trying to fight him, but also save her because she's getting drained at that moment. So you can't just focus on him. So he starts fucking him up. Muse gets a little bit of pushback, but Matt just completely takes over afterwards, beats him up, slams him. And as he does, he gets his baton around his neck. There's a ladder and he gets it. And this crazy ass motherfucker basically hangs up the Muse and he's strangling him. He has his foot on the wall to get him a little bit more leverage to pull it, with more of his weight. And he's holding him up by his neck on the thing. And you just see Muse twitching in the back like crazy and frantically trying to get the thing off his neck. And Matt is just choking the son of a bitch. I'm like, dude, when Punisher said that you love to fuck up these people and stuff, and you're talking about me and this and that, he was not lying. Like, Matt before would obviously go a little bit hard, but you could tell that he's just doing regular, like vigilante stuff with it. He's trying to take down the bad guy. But like at this point, this guy is legit taking out all of his anger and frustration and is getting like literally close to the cusp of murdering these fuckers. Because the way he fucked up the last guy with breaking his leg, I was like, you're going too far, bro. You smashed his face into a bottle, had the shards of glass directly into his face. It could have gone to his eye. Then you snapped the guy's leg. He didn't even do anything that bad. He literally didn't even shoot or kill anybody. And he even let 2 hostages go and you fucked him up that bad. So Muse, what he did, obviously he's not one. He killed a bunch of innocent people, which he does not really like. He's obviously really, really religious. He started off this episode with him praying about, to Foggy and stuff. And he's like, I haven't done a prayer in a while. He's going back to his, religious roots more. So he's getting really pissed off. Like, he's like, this guy's he basically deems him as like some unholy monster that needs to be punished. So I get it, but still, like, this guy was hanging him up. I'm like, I thought you were against completely killing. You're going to kill this guy at this point. But yeah, he's holding him. Muse is basically freaking out. And it's just crazy because I like this, when we see these heroes fight against these bad guys, we want to see them beat the fuck out of them. Obviously, if you're not going to kill them, that's one thing. But if you're not going to kill them, at least fuck them up so badly that you scare the shit out of these crazy people. And that's what he did. He dropped him and he's basically passed out. He went to save the girl. As he saved him, he got away, which I expected, and I was happy he did because it would have sucked if he beat Muse already. And Muse, I want to see more into him. I want to see him do more fucked up stuff and see him have a back and forth between him and Matt. And then I also want to see him going after Wilson Fisk and see that whole story, end up. But yeah, he escaped. He got his ass whooped though. He's gonna have to find a new place to do this, and he's gonna have to be more, better and secretive with it. He hasn't used his power like he had the, comms where he can hide his presence and mess with sound, but maybe he might do that later on. Because the first encounter, I guess, is going to teach him a lesson. But then also Wilson Fisk, not Whisk, Wilson Fisk was fighting against Adam. He swung with the axe. He's moving out of the way. This fat ass, big nimble son of a bitch. He's moving out of the way. He hits him in the gut, punches him, sends his ass flying. He's beating the fuck out of him. He's just using his insane strength, picking up, slamming him onto a table, slamming him to a wall. I kind of felt bad for Adam. I'm like, this guy has been, all he did was sleep with this man's wife. At that time, he didn't even know she was still married. So why are you so mad at this guy? It's not like he did it on purpose to fuck with you. So he slept with this guy's wife once, and ever since then, he's been captured in prison, constantly beaten, tortured, barely fed, and then now he's been given a chance to take his revenge out on him, which we know he's not going to be able to. And now he's getting punched around, getting punched in the face directly. Matt also hit Matt and, Kingpin are doing the same thing. They're both being very ruthless and brutal, but Kingpin, we expected. He's a fucking evil villain. Whereas, Matt is supposed to be more of a, sanctimonious hero, but he's fucking these guys up. So he's punching this guy, smashing him on the table, smashing him into a wall, fucking him up. I'm like, how are you surviving? He throws him in there. He's beaten, battered, and fucking bloody on the ground. He just, when there was bloody enough, was smiling. I'm like, you are a sick son of a bitch, bro. You are fucked up. Like, this guy, like I said, he did not know. Like, you are taking this all out on him. Like, and he yells something like, she's mine. I'm like, this motherfucker is such a simp. He's such a weird ass dude. He's legit crashing out over it, saying she's mine like he owns her and stuff like that. Like, this guy is crazy, right? Like, the people have been making fun of him of like the whole Vanessa thing. I've always made fun of him, making fun of his voice like Vanessa. He's always talking about her. You made me look bad in front of Vanessa. There was like a little me post where there was this mannequin that looked kind of weird, but it looked like him. And it's like, you made me look bad in front of Vanessa. So everybody's joking around about that. And people are also joking about the last episode with something that John Bernthal said, which I mentioned before myself. So like the meme was like, I talked about it last episode where he was like, let me tell you something. And that's just how John Bernthal is in general in all of his roles. He's always talking about, I'm gonna tell you something, let me tell you something. Something, this is like always talking about he's gonna say something. And then he does it or he doesn't do it. And I was joking about that, but people are also joking about there's three things that every one of them say, or one thing that all three of them say. It's him talking about, let me tell you something, or some variation of that. It's Kingpin saying, when I was a boy, I was fat or something like that. And then Matt Murdock saying, I'm a good lawyer, which he said that in the last episode too. Like, like Khan was like, what kind of a lawyer are you? He's like, I'm a good one. I was like, dude, stop with that shit. You fucking clowning ass. So yeah, I saw that meme thing. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, he basically he beat him up. He he just can't let shit go. You know him. That's just how Wilson is. He gets offended or he gets butthurt or triggered about something, and he's like such a spiteful, petty, grudgeful asshole that he will take it to the highest level and not let shit go, no matter what. He's obviously not gonna let this guy go. So Matt's gonna have to save his ass at some point, but he fucked him up and he was just smiling about it. So after this, as Muse leaves, Matt saves the girl. There wasn't I think it just ended after that. We just see him smiling. I was looking to see if there was any other thing showing after that, but it wasn't. That was the rest of the episode. So next episode, I wonder what they're gonna start off. Obviously, Matt's gonna be pissed off that he got away. He's gonna be happy to save her, but he's gonna be pissed off that he got away, and now he's gonna be even more vigilant to stop him because he knows that this guy not only knows that the Daredevil is back and he's also after him, but he's gonna be a lot more cautious because he got his ass beat. And Muse is obviously probably going to also be pissed off, and also probably be a little bit more strategic now with his way of doing things because he can't just be that straightforward anymore. And also, I think they just wanted to deal with him a little bit, but then pass them off a little bit because they have quite a bit. Like I said, they have the whole thing with the cops trying to be the Punisher. You have the whole Wilson Fisk thing going back to him being Kingpin, and then the Muse. So he handled the Muse. Wilson Fisk is back to fully being who he is, and I think him sprawling was basically on back. Um, so Matt's gonna have to stop him, and then we're gonna have also the cops. So I think first Matt after this is gonna stop the cops. Uh, Maybe in episode 7 is gonna be about the cops and stopping them and the whole Punisher thing. Because also I forgot to mention Wilson was he wants to go after the Muse. He's like, we need to stop the Muse. So I'm gonna create a group of cops that are perfect for this. And then like he picked all the dirty cops. Like the commissioner's like, why do you pick all the dirty ones? And I was like, why are all the dirty ones still under your like police force? What about that? What he's like he's like, they're all particularly really good. They're doing something that's very important. I'm like, you just want them because they're fucking crazy criminals like you, and they're doing your own brand of justice where it's like, you don't like vigilantes, but when the cops are doing vigilante justice and not upholding the law, you love that because they're doing what you want. He's just back to his old ways of, using corrupt cops for his, benefit. So he's getting these cops, the other guy that was in the whole White Tiger case, all these guys are the Punisher dudes. So it makes sense. These pseudo Punishers that think that they're like upholding the law. And we get a little bit of them talking about also the fact that a lot of the police precincts that they worked in kind of don't like them and look at them as these guys are taking the law into their own hands and these guys are do vigilante justice. But Wilson Fisk spikes this, so he creates them as his, his specific police task force to go against the Muse. I think what's going to happen is these assholes are going to get like all cocky and tough and trying to act like they're some manly ass dudes. They're going to go after the Muse. Muse is going to pick them one by one and kill these guys. At some point, he's going to probably kill them all. And maybe he's going to do more in his art than just painting. He's probably going to string them, all these cops up as corrupt and killing them and then having a message about Wilson Fisk. So Wilson Fisk is going to probably realize like, oh shit, not only is this guy not really fucking dangerous and he's crazy, but he also took on my whole police force. And most likely the only way for me to stop this guy is to go after him myself. I can't rely on these guys. They all got wiped out. And he knows that I'm specifically coming after him. And he's also, willing to push back this much. So we're going to have these three worlds colliding. We're going to have, Daredevil going against the Muse going against, Wilson Fisk going against both of them. And then Daredevil going after Wilson Fisk. So I think at some point, maybe Wilson Fisk is going to try to fight the Muse and then Daredevil's going to show up to go after Wilson Fisk and then he's going to end up fighting against the Muse too. So it's going to be like a triple threat match type of shit where all three of them are fighting against each other. Muse is trying to fight off Daredevil because he's standing in his way and try to kill Wilson Fisk because that's the whole point of his art. And Wilson Fisk is trying to go after him because he's the mayor. But Daredevil is also going after Wilson Fisk because he wants to stay mad for being a criminal and he also gone back to who he is. And then he also wants to take down the Muse for what he's doing. So it's going to be a cool little triple threat match in the final episode, hopefully. But yeah, he's going to have his police force set out. I think what's going to happen is Matt is going to go after the police force. That's going to be the next episode. And then the Muse is probably going to fight against them too. And I have a feeling the ending, the Muse is going to end up just killing them all. He's going to kill them all and basically string up their body. And then the 8 episodes is going to be both Daredevil and Punisher going after him. And then him trying to get the drop on, what's his name? The Kingpin. So I think what's going to happen is the Muse is going to find Vanessa. He's going to know she's, his wife. So he's going to take Vanessa to basically hold her captive saying, hey, if you're going to send the cops after me, now am I going to kill them and use their bodies as a message to go after you saying, hey, there's nothing you can do to stop me and I'm coming after you, but also take his woman to make Wilson Fisk come after him directly. So I think he's going to take Vanessa and try to kill her and put her in a dangerous position. Now, Wilson Fisk is going to be enraged going after him. And this is also going to lead to Matt coming there. So it's going to all have their worlds colliding. I think the cops are, the whole point of the cops is just to set up to them getting killed. And then their whole little thing and how their brand of justice is just going to end up getting them killed and making things worse only. So I think that's where they're going to go in the direction. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty interesting where they're going. Muse got his ass beat too easily, but it's fine. I'm okay with the bad guys getting their asses whooped by the main guys as long as they get away and are able to plan it on further. And I know that in season 2 he's going to be there, so we're going to probably see more of him. I just want to see Punisher. It would be cool to see the Muse versus the Punisher because the Punisher obviously hates criminals, the most heinous criminals specifically. and the Muse is a serial killer who's killed a bunch of people, so he would hate him the most. So their whole, you know, fighting and butting against each other would be pretty cool. But I'm pretty sure Punisher would kill him pretty easily if he's able to get the chance. So yeah, I thought the episode was really great. That was my favorite episode of this show. Episode 5 wasn't too bad either. It was obviously a slower episode, but it was pretty decent. But episode 6 was pretty good, and I can't wait to get to 7, 8, and 9. I think the last 3 episodes are going to be pretty crazy and pretty intense, and they're going to be pretty much wrapping up the story as a whole and just getting into the last interesting stuff and just going after the main threats. Because I said they have quite a bit of stuff. Punisher was strong a little bit. He's not doing as much in this one because he's going to have his own series anyway. After this season, the Punisher is going to drop his show out. He's going to have his first season, and then the show Daredevil is going to come back with a second season after that. So they're not going to show too much of the Punisher. I think that's leading up to his next season. So I'm fine with that. But we already have 5 men on the plate with, Wilson Fisk, the Muse, and the cops right now. So it's going to be pretty interesting. But for me, I care more about Wilson Fisk and the Muse over the cops. I could care less about cops. I would rather just see them all get wiped out and have it then used as symbol for this episode or whatever. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.